Surviving ticks. This is my 7-layer system. It's a real strategy that works. I was getting up to dozens of ticks on me per day, and now I see almost 0. So this is a real life strategy. It works for me. I believe it will help you. Welcome to Doug Shoe Bushcraft. And I've been bushcrafting and practicing survival skills for decades. I go hiking out in the woods. Often it's with little or no gear, and I build a shelter using natural materials and just sleep on the ground so I could get lots of ticks on me. I'm well acquainted with ticks, but I found this strategy to avoid getting bites or even avoid them crawling on me. And this is an important video. I'm really trying to help people here. Lyme disease is no joke, and ticks can carry other nasty things. By just focusing on Lyme for a minute, some people can get it, and at first at least they don't seem to have very severe symptoms, but for other people it can be like a living nightmare. Now, I don't want to scare people. I just want to impress upon you how serious a topic this is. You know, I have had loved ones with had bad cases of Lyme, and it can be tough just to get by day by day. The symptoms are so severe that the person doesn't know how to handle it. Not that they want to leave this world, not that they want to do something drastic and, you know, end it all. They don't want to do that, but they just can't see light at the tunnel, and they're just suffering so badly they just don't know how they're going to continue to handle it day by day. People can be unable to work. There can be lasting disability. And I'm not a medical doctor. You got to know that. I'm not a medical professional of any kind, but I don't have to be to know that Lyme disease can be bad, and that's only one of the things that ticks can carry. So I believe this is an important video. Please hear me out to the end. I'm going to try to go through my points quickly and concisely to pass this knowledge on to you. If you believe this video is important as I do to get out there, please share. Now you have a loved one that's hiking or camping, spending time in the outdoors. I believe they should hear this too. So please share. And also things like a thumbs up and a comment. I mean, I like feedback. You know, it's great, it's encouraging, but also that will affect the algorithm so that this gets more visibility on the internet. More people will find it when they're searching the topic, or just they're an outdoorsy type person. That sort of internet history, it'll be recommended to them. So please like and share. And you know, I like to be successful in my efforts on a YouTube channel. That's great. But for this particular video, I want to help people. This could save people a lot of suffering, even, I believe, save their lives. So my 7-layer system. First layer is clothing. I cover as much skin as I can. Today it's relatively cool, so it's easier for me to layer. And I know a lot of people like to wear shorts, but when I'm hiking, I like to wear long pants and boots with a shaft that comes up my leg, and then a blousing system, they call it, like an elastic or a tie around the end of my pants. And cover as much skin as I can, long sleeves, a hat. And that's because the tick has to get onto my skin. So let's say I brush up against some bushes or leaves, and there's a tick, and he drops onto my arm. He has to crawl, and find a hole in my shirt, find a way to get to my skin. So the first layer is clothing. Cover as much as I can. And you know, if it starts to get hot, or by exercise I'm getting hot, I can take off layers. And this is a type of shirt, like a fishing type shirt or a turkey hunting type shirt. So it has vents with you know, like a mesh so insects can't get in, and the sleeves are meant to roll up, but you know, I leave as much clothing on for as long as I can. That's my first layer of defense. And you know, blousing pants, in other words pants that you can tie or have an elastic around your boots, is good. But even better, you can put your pants into your boots, or tape it, you know, duct tape, whatever sort of tape you use. I know it might look silly, or you might not do it for fashion sense, but really, if we're talking about keeping ticks off your skin, that's the best strategy. So first layer is covering as much skin as I can with clothing. The second layer is Permethrin, and it's technically an insecticide. You can buy clothing from the manufacturer that's treated with Permethrin. One of the trade names, or whatever you call it, would be Insect Shield. It might be sold under other names, but if there's a treatment that has Permethrin, that's what you want. Or there's clothing that you like outdoors or hunting or hiking clothing that you already have that you like. It's not treated. You can buy Permethrin on Amazon. I'll put the link in the description where I got this. This one is Sawyer Premium Insect Repellent, Clothing, Gear, and Tents. It says, but then the active ingredient is Permethrin. And that's the only active ingredient. That's what I want. And you follow the directions, and you know, you have to do your own research. It's a chemical, right? They say repellent. I would say it's technically an insecticide, because you have clothing treated with this, and a tick starts crawling on me, or a mosquito, and it can kill them. So technically it's an insecticide. So, you know, when I heard about this, I was initially a little bit hesitant. Do I want an insecticide on my clothes? But, you know, my decision, everything has risk. I believe the U.S. military has been using this on their uniform clothing, you know, like the field clothing, for decades. And I haven't heard of any scandals where, or however you'd phrase it, where our servicemen and women having adverse health effects from it. I haven't heard anything like that. So in my mind, that's a test. You don't want to get it on your skin in liquid form. You don't want to get it in your eyes. You don't want to inhale it. But if you follow the directions, treat your clothing, and then let it dry as directed, then I believe it's safe. You can absorb it through your skin. But if I'm correct, and again, I'm not a medical doctor, I'm not a scientist, you know, I'm just speaking it as a consumer here. But I believe that if it's used as directed, I'm wearing the treated clothing, I can absorb a little bit through my skin, but my liver is able to get rid of it faster than I'm absorbing it. So, you know, whatever risks there might be, I believe anyway, that it's a lot less dangerous than getting tick bites and mosquito bites and other things. You know, I'm talking about ticks today, but this is good to repel a lot more than ticks. So you'll have to look into it yourself and make your own decision. But for me, it works. I used to cover the first layer of my system. Before I discovered Permethrin, I go out there with as much skin covered as possible, and still find a lot of ticks on me, like on my clothing, and some getting past the clothing onto my skin. And there'd be up to, you know, during the bad part of tick season, up to dozens per day. I could go out on a little day hike and get a couple dozen ticks on me, you know. And with the Permethrin treated clothing, it's gone down to almost zero. And this is my second season with this. You know, the military's been using it for decades, I believe. This is my second year using it, and I'm convinced. And I'm making the video and promoting it to other people to at least look into it. So permethrin's the second layer. The third layer is other repellents. I'm not a big fan of DEET. I'm not telling other people not to use it. It's just that DEET, maybe I'm being irrational. I mean, we all have to make our own health decisions. Getting bitten by ticks can be really, really bad. I mean, it's happened to loved ones. You know, some really heart-wrenching stuff. Okay, so I don't want to get Lyme and other stuff, but just DEET. In my own opinion, I could be wrong. Again, I'm not a scientist, but it just seems the risk was too high for me. So I'm making my own stuff. But just my third layer, which I'm not going to go into other repellents, but you just choose yours. Now there'll be future videos about that, but my third layer is another repellent, because permethrin you're supposed to treat on your clothes and let it dry. You're not supposed to spray it directly on your skin. So my third layer is something I can spray while I'm out here, and I can include like spraying it on the skin that's exposed. It's my third layer of protection. So my fourth layer of protection is a ground cover. In other words, I'm sitting here right now. I have a wood seat, I called it. If you don't know what that is, I have another video on that. Or if I'm going to lay down, I don't just lay down in the leaves. I have a ground cover. Because ticks, I believe, like to live in the leaves, the vegetation. I sit right down on the ground, somewhere out in the woods or a field, and I could be sitting on several ticks and they start climbing up. So I can put down a ground cover before I sit down. And also, permethrin, you can treat your gear. So you can spray your ground cover, you can spray your backpack. Now again, as directed. Fifth layer of protection, if I'm camping out, to have a tent with like a insect mesh, a screen door I can zip up, go inside the tent, you know, do a tick check if it's like a private area where I can you know, be taking off some of my clothing. Do the tick check outside. If it's in, you know, places other people around, I can go in my tent like immediately, check myself. But you know, if I have a tent, then with the screen, the insect mesh, then that's an area free of ticks. But if I don't have that, I don't have a tent, let's say I'm bushcrafting, I'm building a bushcraft or survival shelter out of natural materials and diving in that, or if I just want to be cowboy camping like under the stars, you know, like for fun, I just like doing that. Let's say I don't have a tent, then the fifth layer becomes a bivvy sack. If you don't know what that is, I'll put the link in the description what a bivvy sack is. It's like a cover that goes over a sleeping bag, or if you don't have a sleeping bag, just a cover. It's not insulating, but the bivvy cover is like a person-sized envelope. So some of those have a mesh, like a tent you can zip up. If it doesn't have the insect mesh, then the only way in is the head hole, and just protects you. Sixth layer of my system to avoid ticks is not walking through brush or tall grass, or not rubbing up against vegetation or tree branches or leaves. And I don't always go with this layer because I just like bushwhacking and exploring off trail, but I know there's more risk. You know, you have to choose what layer of risk you're willing to take. You know, what's your enjoyment of going off trail, or is it an activity like hunting where you really have to think you have to leave the trail, versus, you know, what you get, the benefit versus the risk. to minimize risk, you'd stay on an established trail, you know, like a really well-maintained trail that doesn't have like tall grass or leaves or brush next to it. You can just walk without vegetation brushing up against you, because ticks can be in that. And I brush up against a tree branch with some leaves, and tick drops onto my arm, and then he's crawling around looking for skin, right? So if you're going along the trail and there's like a clump of tall grass that trail maintenance didn't get to yet, or like there's like a fallen limb or tree or something, then you're just careful and avoid that as much as possible. So I'm bushwhacking here, but I can still, I'm gonna have to go through some brush and brush against some limbs and leaves, but less is better, you know. And then my final layer of this system is tick checks. If I'm out for the day or an afternoon when I get home, you know, I'll go in the bathroom and take off my clothes and look around for ticks. Or even, you know, if I'm on the trail, you know, I can check the common areas, the areas that ticks like, which is moist, warm, and covered. An area that's moist, warm, and covered. You know, we have perspiration, body oils and things. Areas get moist, you know, we sweat. I mean, that's the kind of areas that ticks like, you know, like they like to be covered, like the armpit, you know, your groin area, any sort of folds of skin that you have. They like right around your hairline. So they gotta find like an area in your clothing. So if they do like get past your cuff or get past your opening of your pant leg, that's the common areas to check. So the final, the number 7, the final step in my system is tick checks. I'd just like to say, before I sign off, is that the permethrin and their clothing covering as much skin as possible works well, because I've been observing the ticks now, and they get on the clothing that's been treated and they don't like it. It bothers them and hurts them somehow. And I heard another person say that they get hot foot. I'd give him credit, but I forget who it was now. But the ticks get on the treated clothing and they get hot foot, and they move fast for a while trying to get off you. But if they're looking around, they can't. Like, they're trying to get off on the tail like a limb or something, I believe. So they go fast for a little while, but then they slow down and seem to be like in the process of dying. And it's called an insecticide. It kills them, you know. And yet again, I'm not a doctor. I talk to doctors about ticks, and the last doctor I talked to, she said that the ticks basically, maybe there's rare exceptions, but basically the tick has to be on you for, she said, 36 hours for you to get Lyme. I've heard other people say 24 hours, but anyway, as just, you know, a person experienced with being out in the woods and having, I don't know if it's been hundreds, it might be thousands of ticks crawling on me by now. But just being familiar with ticks, I haven't had Lyme disease yet that I know of, but I believe that they have to crawl on you, find a spot. It takes them a while for them to bite, and I call it like drilling in, like burrowing in, getting embedded, I think it's called. and then they're on you for a while. And for you to get Lyme, I think they would have to be on you for an extended period of time. I don't know, that's what doctors have told me. But the Permethrin, they get on you and it gives them hot foot and they want to get off. And I think before they can do all that, go through that old process to bite you and give you Lyme, I think they'll be dead. It's a repellent. Not only that, it's an insecticide, so it kills them. And also works against mosquitoes. Not only does it keep them from landing on you, I think it repels them from your camp. Personally, I've heard reports like that, and even literature. I believe it's true. There's a whole nother video I have already posted on the channel, surviving mosquitoes. I'll put the link in the description. But it's time for Surviving Mosquitoes 2. I'm not going to get to that video immediately. I'll try to post it when I can. Surviving black flies. Here we are in the worst of black fly season. I think you can see them swarming around the camera. Do I seem bothered by them? Okay, the system that I have right now against black flies, it's not stopping them from swarming. Oh, I'm working on that. But do I look bothered to you by these black flies? If someone else didn't know what I know, they'd be you know, a lot of them going nuts about the black flies getting bitten up. They got welts all over them. This cloud of black flies isn't biting. Why is that? That'll have to be a future video. So, you know, again, trying to help people out here. Ticks carry Lyme, other bad things. You know, depending on what area of the world you are, there's Zika, and different species of mosquitoes, from what I understand, can carry different things. A lot of it's bad. I'm in here in New Hampshire right now on the Maine border. So just in closing, if you like this sort of thing, subscribe. And again, just if you think this will help someone, help people, please share. And I really thank you guys for tuning in, hearing me out. And please let me know in the comments what you thought. God bless you guys. I really appreciate all my viewers. It's an honor for you spending time with me. And that's it for now, and I hope to see you again soon. May the Lord be with your spirit, and may His grace be with you all. 2 Timothy 4:22.